Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
As it's our custom, we'll go around and say our names. My name is Ray Dyer.
Jerry.
Patrick.
George.
Michael.
I'm Tom.
Ari.
Rich. Mark.
Lisa. David.
Mark.
Gary.
Mike.
Kay.
Steve.
Lee. Yeah. Dave. Lee.
Paul. Peter. John.
Bill.
Rory.
Who are you?
Hubbard. This morning we have two members of the sangha who are going to share about their spiritual path. On the left, Jerry Jones, who has been coming to GBF for about a year and a half, and Howard DePorte, who has been a long-time member and is on the program for GBF. So I will turn it over to you guys.
Sure. Thanks, Don. Good.
By the way, I like your legs.
Well, thank you. They're just for you. Good morning, everyone. Everything comes to the Dharma. Compliments. My name is Jerry Jones. And the process of coming here and speaking today has been really interesting. I used to do 12-step work, so I've done this work that was like 20 years ago. So I haven't really come and told my story in quite a long time. And I'm 55, so there's quite a lot of story there. So I'll try to keep it to 20 minutes and tell you what my life has been like for the past 55 years spiritually in a lot of different ways and how I came to Buddhism. I'm going to read one quote. It's from Pema Chodron. Fear is a natural reaction to moving closer to the truth. And I have a lot of fear today about telling about my past because it's just what's coming up for me. So if it's going to get me closer to the truth, then I welcome it. And it's another quote that I liked. I know nothing. All I can tell you are about my experiences. Because I could read a book and say, blah, 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 blah. But if I don't have the experience, then I can't really, it's not part of me. So, to give you some background, I was born in upstate New York, Binghamton, New York, 55 years ago. Grew up in an upper middle class family. And I say that today because I have a lot of shame about how I grew up upper middle class, because we had more than most people, and we were supposed to downplay that, and I've always felt really weird about that. So I just say that it's just part of who I am, and just to finally break that shame. I'm the oldest child of two. My parents, Janet and Jerry, I'm the third. And my mother is character disordered and alcoholic, my father, narcissistic and a rageaholic. So that kind of gives you how my home life went. It was very difficult, and I did learn a lot about pain and suffering growing up, even though financially we looked great on the outside, but we were screwed up on the inside. Most people thought we had a great life. We grew up Presbyterian, but more social. My father didn't like going to church, so we weren't like on holidays and stuff. I was involved with Sunday school and choir and stuff, which was a great outlet for me to get out of the house from my parents. So our family life pretty much revolved around status and drinking, and I thought that's what was supposed to be happening for the rest of my life. So when I was told at 5 that I would be going to college, and there were no ifs, ands about this is how we followed our thing, and we weren't threatened with what church said or God. We were threatened about what the family and friends would say if I misbehaved or anything like that. When I was a child, I had some paranormal experiences, and I predicted a death when I was a child. Actually, the person whose husband had died the next day, just off the cuff. So I knew that I was different. First of all, I knew I was gay at 5, but I didn't know quite what it was. But I just know I knew I was playing with Eric Williams down the street, and not playing in the literal form. And of course, I always wanted to wear an apron, not toss a football. And my father was very upset because he was a jock and a hunter and a fisherman. You know, boys don't do that. But so it was difficult. So between my mother drinking in the kitchen at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I would be eating out of the refrigerator at the same time because there was just so much craziness going on. My mother has split personalities when she drinks, and I was the oldest, so my father traveled, so I had to kind of take care of what was going on in the house. So I had these. I knew that something had to be better in life than just the way my parents kind of set things up. I mean, it was really mostly about how much money you had and how much you could party at the club and all this stuff. And it just didn't quite ring with me. And at a young age, I kind of knew there had to be something else. So I kind of just was hoping all my life that there's got to be something else besides this. It just didn't feel natural to me. And at 12, I was, again, experimenting with boys. I had probably slept with 80 guys before I got out of high school. So I guess I was promiscuous. But it was the only way that I knew that I could get love, because I wasn't getting it from my parents because they just weren't capable of giving me the right thing. So I started drinking at 14, and then I started doing drugs at 17. But to me, that was the way I had to survive. I didn't know any other way. I mean, I'd have sex, I was drunk, and I didn't know any other way to live, but it worked out. I went to college. You know what? I didn't have sex in college. Don't ask me why. I was scared, I guess. I don't know. And finally, at 22, I came out. I got my college degree, which my parents wanted, and I said, this is my life now. So this was 1974. Some of you can probably remember 1974. It was the beginning of disco. 73, homosexuality was not an illness anymore, even though I don't think that would have stopped me. And I was living in Denver, Colorado at the time, and that's where I came out. I fell in love with another waiter. And so my spirituality from then until 30 was sex, drugs, and alcohol. And at one point I went to a friend of mine and I said, there's got to be something more to life than just sex, drugs, and alcohol. So I feel like really empty. Plus, my experience with alcohol and drugs is like, I was a fun drunk, but I got really depressed the next day, and I had these terrible depressions and suicidal thoughts. So at 30, I went into AA, and that was kind of I should back up. I did study with a psychic in my 20s. I did have some psychic ability, and she's the first person that taught me about meditation. And she said, you need to meditate every day. And of course, I was still partying, so it didn't really. But that was the first person that taught me about meditation. And then I went to 12-step groups, and part of it is prayer and meditation. And that was a great time because I went to gay AA here in San Francisco. I moved here in 80, and I could be around men, but it was really strange being sober with men. So that was interesting. I had to go through that. And this is the time during AIDS, 1980. I got sober in 82 or 81. That's when AIDS happened. And it seemed like the 70s where you could celebrate, and then 80 came, and we had to go back in the closet. I don't say much in the closet, but we had to go back into pain and suffering because the 70s were like, oh wow, we're okay, we're we can be out more than ever. Then I went to another psychic who taught me meditation, and her way is if you want to do meditation, use music. So I used music for meditation for 10 years, and it was 20 minutes a day. And so I've been meditating pretty much since 1982, 83. I think there was a year or two that I didn't meditate. So I'm a long-time meditator. And I don't know, it was just like a habit, like brushing your teeth. It was just like hygienic, just like I knew I had to meditate every day. And it was like, I didn't know what a refuge was until I came to Buddhism. It was kind of a refuge for me to go to and just go. And even if I had a crazy day coming up and I was thinking about it, and that's all I thought about, then, but I was just like, well, I'm just going to sit for 20 minutes, and this is what's going to happen. So the 80s, I really branched out. I mean, I am a seeker. I was New Age. I did est. I had to make a list. I went through and made a list of everything I did. I was like, and I have, I learned from every single thing that I did. So just give me a minute here. Est, and then Terry Cole Whitaker. I don't know if any guys go back that far. Rebirthing. And my last rebirthing is with a lesbian naked. I was naked in a hot tub with a snorkel. So, it was all about the breath. So that was my last reading. And I've probably done, 50, 60 rebirthing sessions. Course in Miracles I got into, which I found very close to Buddhism in some ways. But I didn't know Buddhism, and then yoga. And I'll just tell you a funny story. My first experience with Buddhism was in college, coming across campus with my friend Rose, and we were both stoned. And these people come to us and, do you want to go to a lecture on, I thought they said voodooism. That's how red I was. And so we get in this car with these people. We drive to West Denver. I was at University of Denver at the time. And we walk in, take our shoes off. And then this was the Naha Renge Kyo Buddhism. And didn't really work for us, but it was interesting to hear how people would chant and ask for things. And so it was my first exposure to Buddhism, and then I think back now, if I had been voodooism, I'm like, people taking chicken heads off of their teeth or something. I don't know. But this is kind of how my life has been. It's been kind of funny. Then I had a teacher named Gangaji. I don't know if you're familiar with her, and she comes out of, I think, Buddhism pretty much. I went to Unity, Science of Mind, done a lot of searching, and every place I've gone to, I've always enjoyed fellowship and and from AA, I learned take what you like and leave the rest, and that's what I really, a lot of things I didn't agree with in some places. Okay. Then I did 8 years of therapy. I went into a relationship, and the whole time I was in a relationship, I was in therapy, which was good, and I learned a lot about myself. I think if I had come to Buddhism, I probably could have gone to 4 years of therapy, but who knows. So, I'm still seeking. It's kind of funny. When I came into Buddhism, this is 2006, January, I've always wanted to go on a silent retreat. And one of my neighbors had gone, and I was like, I'd like to go on one. So I went online, and I had just left my corporate job a couple months before that. And it was like on my list of things to do. I always make a list of things to do when I'm not working, because go to a matinee when I can, or go to the beach, and when it was going on a silent retreat. So I found one at Spirit Rock, and it was for the curious, and 3 days. And so I went there, and I thought it was just going to be a silent retreat. And they started talking about Buddhism, and this is how naive I was. I had no idea it was going to be about Buddhism, and I was hooked. And it was with Diana Winston and Mark Holman, and I just talked about mindful eating, about meditation. It was just, when something's right, it just clicks. And that's the way my life has been led. Sometimes I just fall into things and being naive. Then I came back and I went to gay men's sangha in the Castro, and the first person taught there was Robina Curtin. Everybody, I think, knows Bruein. And I go, that woman channels. I was like, and I was just so impressed. I was just like, wow, man. And then I started going to Monday nights, Larry Yang's group, and I came here, and, really, first of all, I had left my corporate job in 2005. So I had all this time, and when I take time off, it's always about self-exploration, and when you're with yourself another 8 hours a day, you really get to explore yourself, and you go through the highs and the lows. And I'm very grateful that when I left corporate America that I had some money that I didn't have to work for a while. So since I've come into Buddhism, it's been really interesting because living here in the Bay Area, we have so many resources, so many teachers, so many different groups and stuff. And so I got involved in a Buddhist book club, gay Buddhist book club, so I could, read about different types of Buddhism. And so January I went to Spirit Rock. October a year ago, I was on Chasing Buddha with Bruein at Puerto. I did her pilgrimage because I had the time and the money. Sometimes you either one or the other. Well, I just happened to have both. So I went to Asia with her and learned about. Another thing, I didn't know anything about Tibetan Buddhism. So it was amazing because it was so ritualistic and completely different than Vipassana that I kind of knew. But she's a wonderful teacher, and we went to all the places where the Buddha was, and it was quite amazing. And every place we went did a puja, which is a little ceremony, and very different than Vipassana. So today, change this right. Today, my practice is to at least meditate 20 minutes a day. I don't use music anymore, but I thought about using it again. I go to at least 3 sanghas a week. I do the book club that I belong to. I do service outside of Buddhism. I keep very busy because people say, "What's your life like without working?" And I go, "I don't know. I keep pretty busy." So, and what Buddhism has brought to me is a plan how to live my life, like through right thoughts, right action, right livelihood, things like that. And I not really ask too many questions in sanghas because I tend to want to just sit back and listen for, it'll be 2 years in January since I've come here, and I think sometimes it's just important to listen. And also I've tried to stay out of, when I was doing New Age stuff, there was so much flying around that I try to just keep things really simple. My Buddhism is very simple. It's like meditation service, just very, because I defined my niche. And also I found it really important to have good teachers, and so I go to Eugene Cash, on Sunday nights, and and also Buddhism taught me to be present, more present. Also, to recognize the stories I make up all the time. Like I may call someone, they may not call me back, and I'll make up a story that they hate me and blah, 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 blah. Of course, none of you have ever had that before, but it's really interesting how the mind works, and it's like, oh, who is this mind? And I heard a great quote years ago, use the mind as the errand boy, not the CEO. And finally, I have a gratitude every day, and I do a list every day, and the 3 of them I usually use is, I'm grateful I have 3 meals a day, a roof over my head, and my health, because most people in the world don't have those. And finally, I'd like to just end with, I went to therapy for 8 years, and there's a little Buddhist office over in Glen Park, and my therapist was there, and I'd walk by, and every day, or every week when I went, the Dalai Lama said, "My religion is kindness." And that just stuck with me, that kindness is a great religion. So it's 20 after. Thank you so much for your attention and letting me talk.
Well, and welcome to Gay Buddhist Fellowship.
Well, thank you.
Settled in here for another 10 years or so. Jerry and I met earlier this week to talk about how we wanted to approach sharing our stories with you, and we decided that since we wanted to be in the moment and present, we were going to do a nude sitting. Yes. So let's go for it. I'm kidding.
You first, Howard.
The silence here. The silence was deafening. Oh my gosh. Everyone's. I just came back from Hawaii. And I got a tan, so I can really do the sitting. Actually, I had a great idea in program committee, and just listening to your story. What do you think, Jen, and other program folks, that get us the reference name of that lesbian.
Oh, Georgia.
And we'll all do rebirthing with snorkels and nude, was it?
Oh, definitely nude.
In the bath together. For
Hot
Sunday
tub,
morning.
hot tub.
Oh, hot tub. It could be a great experience together. My name is Howard DePorte. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the sangha. Refuge in the Buddha has been very enlightening and empowering and very helpful to me. As refuge in the Buddha draws me back to light, to purity, to wonder, to beauty, to majesty, to the complexity of all that is. I take refuge in the Dharma. The Dharma's been very helpful. Although I wrestle with a lot of the Dharma, I'm not a fan of the precepts. But I am a fan of many of the ideas that resonate in the Dharma, like impermanence has been very helpful for me. And Jim Wilson has been really one of my first teachers in the Dharma, and he often spoke of dependent origination and interdependent living. And I come back to that all the time because the material that's working me right now a lot in my life is forgiveness, doing a lot of forgiveness work. I still hold a lot of guilt. And those are two powerful, potent animals in my life. And sometimes they rage as demons, and sometimes they are callings to investigate, to explore, and to grow. And I take refuge in the sangha, which has been for me the most powerful of the three jewels, the most meaningful, and you. And as I look at your faces, you have been the sangha for me. And when I came here 9 years ago, you received me with just open arms and grace and wonder and love, and that has not changed in the time that I've been a part of this sangha. But I also love just the idea of sangha as all sentient beings. So I just take refuge in being privileged to be alive in this human form, in this time, in the vast matrix of eons that Jim Wilson always talks about. A spark, I'm a spark. We're all sparks, and I'm flittering and flying through. This is my moment to shine. It will end as quickly as a spark comes and goes. And while I'm here, you have been my most fertile soil. When I came here, I had just come out as a gay man. I was 41 years old. I had been married for 15 years. I had 2 children. I'm 50. You're going to be knocking the door. I'm 52 next month. I'm right there with you.
Welcome.
So my daughter is 18. My son is 16. And I haven't seen them in 5 years. So one of the best parts of the Dharma that has been helping me a lot is the idea of impermanence, and I think for me to take impermanence in its depth is to live honestly and honorably with grief as a daily part of what it means to be engaged. Because impermanence by implication is things come and things go. It's the open door, the closed door, and to be open to all of it. the open door as it comes, and the closed door as it ends. And the grief that's linked with the closed door, for me, is a part of my daily living. So the Dharma has helped me to practice grief as just a practical, natural, and I think engaged and healthy part of my life. So I cry a lot, pretty easily these days. So I came here seeking to come out as a gay man on the spiritual path. I had been faithful to my wife for 15 years. I had sex with and made love to one person my entire life. Until I made a grand mistake in my life. I was an ordained clergy person of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, the largest Lutheran body in the United States. 13 years of ordained ministry. I actually was attracted to Paul, who was a 35-year-old member of the congregation. And damn it, Paul was straight. And the bottom line is I ended up in having sexual contact with one of my students, one of my confirmation students, a 15-and-a-half-year-old young man who also was emotionally challenged. So he was a slow learner. I loved him dearly. It was a very appropriate relationship for the 3 years that he was my student. But he had turned 15 and a half, and I had come to wit's end about containing my sexual energy as a gay man. Really about 35 years holding on to all of that energy. And I was spent. I don't offer that as an excuse. It's just a place of where I was at in terms of my life energy. And we ended up engaging in 2 acts of mutual masturbation together. That was my very first homosexual experience. And to his credit, and rightly, he told his parents I was arrested and convicted in January of 2000. I was given a sentence of 44 months in state prison, but the judge gave me the privilege of half time, which meant I served 25 months in state prison. So about 6 of those months were in city jail. About 5 of those months were at San Quentin. And then the balance of my time I spent at Mule Creek State Prison. Grace just really followed me, surrounded me. I don't want to say grace. I lived through that experience. I was, pretty thoroughly convinced that I would not make it and that I would be targeted and killed. But it really opened up the opportunity to look at my death, face it. I'd written my memorial statements. I had some real closure around my life, that it had, reached its completion. Did some gratitude work, some grateful work, some regretting work, and some forgiveness work. But I was ready to go. And that's been very helpful to just always be in touch, always be aware that this is the day that I have. In the Christian tradition, we always said, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And that whole teaching came out of wisdom literature, which I really resonate with, just to be in the moment, to celebrate the gift that is now. And because tomorrow is not here and the past now is simply, it's material for learning. And it's compost. It's decomposing and it's becoming fertile soil if I use it that way. And so I'm a registered sex offender in the state of California. on my birthday every year. I go into the police department and go through my registration process. I'm glad to say that the police departments that I have had to interface with have been professional for the most part. There's been a few exceptions to that, but more often than not, the officers that have taken me in and done the registration have been professional and non-judgmental, and so I feel really grateful for that. The biggest part of that I'm working with today, it's 2007. What year are we in? I was released February 2002, February 13th, and then 3 years parole. So I was released from parole February 13th, 2005. So I've been off parole since then. And I've been in the process of trying to rebuild career, which has been quite a formidable challenge. It has not been easy. Of course, corporations just won't touch me, and so I've been developing a career as an independent mediator, and that itself has not been easy either. But the stuff that's working me today is for self-forgiveness. I just get into these places where I'm so fucking angry with myself for my choices, and I can't get myself off that hook. I've literally hit my head against walls, and I just wanted to just take my hands and dig it into my chest and just open it up. And I've gotten into places where I just really want to punish myself. I've visited thoughts of suicide on a regular basis. I have a deep respect, abiding respect for men and women who struggle and live with those feelings. I understand them. I have no intention today to commit suicide, but I don't know what tomorrow will bring. But today I feel grounded, I feel rooted, I feel kind of in the path, in the way, and I feel okay. But the biggest work that I deal with today is around forgiving myself, is also the loss of my children. And so that one's really hard. I love them very much, and it's really difficult for me to deal with the reality that I hurt them. And all I want to do is hug them and let them know that I'm sorry. And, that Daddy made a mistake. And, I didn't mean to hurt them, but I did. I take responsibility for that. It's not their fault. I just want to have a chance to tell them that. Well, the timing for that is not now. The timing for that is not now. And so, Native American spirituality helps me a lot with the whole discipline of right timing, right placement, right content. And I think it's really good content that I want to share with my children. But it's not right timing. And so I just have to let go of that. And so I'm grateful for impermanence and the practice of letting go, the out breath, to just let it wash. And to trust that hopefully in this lifetime the moment will come, when they want to do the work that they need to do with their dad. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Buddhism to give me some of the insight to help practice the whole discipline of letting go. So I think, we've got really right on content. The timing is not yet. And one of the things that helps me is reframing. And so I just kind of reframe this whole dynamic with my children that they too are on a journey, as am I. And so every day I go through a ritual of encouraging them on their path. They need to figure this out. And they need to figure it out in their time and in a place where they feel empowered and they feel safe to do what they need to do to come back to Dad. And so that's the compassion work that I do for them and with them. So I see them in my mind on a journey. They're on a path. It's an adventure. It's an exploration. And that's what they're doing right now. And my work is to pray for them, to love them in this. Whenever anger comes up in me, I want to just kind of look at it and wash it out. When bitterness comes up, which it does all the time, to look at it, name it, and wash it out. And so I just, in this practice, I do a lot of washing. A lot of baptism stuff, just a lot of rinsing. And because, toxicity on so many levels is in my body, it's in my mind, it's in my perceptions. And so I just really need to do a lot of washing. How's my time? I'm done.
No.
Oh, damn it. So that's one of my biggest works with them, and then also with my ex-spouse. We had a chance after I was off parole to mediate the possibility of a therapeutic solution to the dissolution of our family, which I was incredibly hopeful for. And it was the first time I saw my ex-spouse since I had been imprisoned. And it was tense, but civil. And I didn't think she would, but she did. And initially I blamed her, but I'm working with that a lot. But she, of course, she didn't want me to see the children. And her ace card was that she believed that I would molest my son. And so she was pretty in a position of real power in that matrix, and that was a pretty good ace card to play. And actually, to the credit of the mediator, it didn't work. The mediator recommended a therapeutic solution. And I felt just like a miraculous breakthrough for me, and finally someone within the system kind of stood with me. And but then the therapy never happened because my children had made a declaration that they didn't want to participate in that. So I've been working through a lot of forgiveness work around my ex-spouse, and that's been fairly easy because I have a deep place in my heart for her. Brilliant woman, beautiful woman, successful woman, and I hurt her deeply. I shamed her, and it's a big wound to recover from. And so a big part of my compassion work is placing myself in the position of the victim, the one who's been hurt, going there and realizing the potency of those feelings, and gaining an understanding of, I understand where she's at. And I'd probably be in the same place if the shoes were shifted. So compassion work helps me to go there and to let the anger and bitterness that I have for her, let go of that, be free of that, and then to pray. Just pray for her happiness, and that I would develop a kind and gentle spirit with her. No one's going to like this, what I have to say, but I do the same work with George Bush in the Bush administration. I realize that in my life I've had the capacity to hurt people in a deep and profound way. And whenever I think about our present administration and the hurt the hurt that has happened in the world, I realize that there's a component within my own psyche that can go to really mean, aggressive, angry, and evil places. And so I go there and I forgive myself for that, and I forgive the administration for that. That doesn't mean that I don't relinquish the commitment to go to higher places, to call out, more kindness in the world. But at the same time, I know that for me, that's the path to take, and it sure relinquishes me of a lot of resentment and anger and rage around this administration, and really gets me inspired to move in ways that are higher and forward and onward. As the earth will spin, the sun, Holly Near sings this song, the sun don't stop a-rolling around in the sky. And the sun is going to keep rolling, and when it stops rolling, then really none of us have anything to worry about. It's going to keep on rolling. So one final thought is my life philosophy this month has been to go low and slow. So the verb to go, but to go in a way that's very low and at a pace that's very slow. And so this feather is a symbol of that. It's from a turkey vulture. And not the most attractive birds when you get up to them close, but in flight they're absolutely phenomenal, spectacular to my eye. And they're a symbol to me of effortlessness. And they're going. They're in flight, their wings are spread, and their eyes are open, and they're scanning and searching. But their whole life is being buoyed and lifted and drawn by the thermals. I think they realize intuitively that they make some conscious choices, but the world is filled with 3 trillion unconscious events that are taking place in them and around them. They realize that, and so they fly with this effortlessness, trusting that the bounty, the momentum of the universe will carry them as far as they need to go and provide. You have been a big thermal draft and wind in my life, and I'm very grateful to you.
We have time for questions and comments if you guys are receptive. Jerry, Holly, are you open to questions?
Oh, sure.
And comments?
We'll try.
Does anyone?
Thank you both so much for the gift that you have bestowed upon us. The gift of giving yourselves to us in such an open and unselfish way. And I'm deeply touched by having the opportunity to both of your stories. So thank you very, very much. Grateful for that. I really...
there's more?
I really appreciate your description of the turkey vulture and your description of being lifted and awareness and being able to see and being open to what the universe has shared so eloquently your challenging experiences. And what I was thinking about is my experience. One of my teachers is Thich Nhat Hanh, and he talks about something called transformation at the base. And I was hearing a lot of that in what you were saying. And one of the things that you reminded me of, and I need to continue to focus on that, and that's the reality that I need to find a place of joy, happiness, peace. And Ty says, out of that, then I can kind of open myself more up to the challenges and pain. And so I'm sensing that you that's a big part of your practice. So my question, my thought, I should say, I don't even say question. My thought is, how do we find that joyful place so that in that we can go and touch more deeply those real painful places. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Don't ask me. Do you have a thought?
Well, what's joy? I mean, what brings joy to your life? I mean, if you're in the moment and the pain is there, you can change that moment, look at a sunset, or hear a child laugh, or something like that, or just bring something that makes your heart warm. Is that how it works for you?
Well, what I've done is, in my own consciousness, is realized that not to put a negative value judgment on feelings. And so whatever arises, to be with it, and especially the painful feelings, the hurtful ones. I've been trained that when they, to avoid pain, right, at all costs, protect myself, and I became an expert in denying pain, diluting pain, minimalizing pain, avoiding pain, shifting pain to others. I mean, I became an expert at that. And so a big part of my practice is letting go of those old, tired, and I think toxic practices, and acknowledging that pain is a real part of being alive. The hurt. I mean, a lot of times I find myself, I'm attracted to a guy, and I won't approach them. And why won't I approach them? I won't approach them because I'm afraid of the hurt of rejection. And they may not like me, or they may judge me, all that stuff that I build up around myself, and I have to. So I look at that and realize that, there's an opportunity for me to grow in my own personal depth as a human being, and to own the pain, own the fear, own the risk, and be with it. And So pain to me and hurt and loss and grief are, for me, a part of being very alive and engaged in my life right now. And what I've learned, maybe the biggest lesson I've learned is that it's not going to kill me, at least yet. I always was afraid that the pain and hurt and rejection would just send me 6 feet under. It was a life-threatening sensation, and so that hasn't happened so far. And, I thought losing my children might kill me, and on an occasion it got really close. It gets close sometimes, and it comes like a wave, like the ocean, and it gets pretty dark sometimes. And I hold on to some things. First of all, this is what it means to be alive. God damn it, motherfucker. And I don't like it, but I know it will pass because of impermanence. All things will change. All things will pass. I don't take my life because I know that I don't want to hurt my children again. I don't want to do that. And there are many friendships here in the sangha that mean a great deal to me and have been a tremendous resource in staying grounded in this realm, in this time, and in this life, and that has been very helpful. And I've also learned through the last 10 years that the feelings, the thoughts of terminating my life pass. They pass. And the dark times always pass. Every time they have passed. Sometimes I feel like it's too long between passings. But they always pass. And in those times I'm really going low and slow in the boat. I'm going way low and way slow. And, I don't know if that's helping.
I want to thank you both for sharing such personal parts of your lives and spiritual path.
Thank you.
Do we have a host today?
I'm the host. There's some snacks. There's some hot water for tea. If you do have tea, could you please rinse out the cup afterwards? There's also a Dharma bowl, and whatever you can give to the sangha would be most appreciated.
Are there any announcements?
Next week actually is open sangha, so what we tend to do is break into small groups and share where we're at, and often there's a topic as well. It's up for a discussion in small groups, and it's a great way to deepen connections and also connections with yourself.
The GBF retreat is coming up this Friday through Sunday. The registration deadline is tomorrow. However, I think there's no mail delivery tomorrow. I think it's Columbus Day, so if any of you have put checks in the mail in the last couple of days, let me know so I can count you in.
Tuesday evenings at 7:30, there's meditation at Darren Little's house. You can let me know if you want information.
Any other announcements?
Oh.
I just want to say thank you to Gary for a great hotline that we did last week. The Sangha, there was about 10 of us, and it was really nice.
I enjoyed eating all the leftovers.
It's a good sell.
Stayed with me.
Right? How many of you are facile typists?
First, tell us what we're doing.
All right. You know, we have this newsletter, and the main topic, the main articles in the newsletter are transcriptions of talks we've had here. I did every one for years. And Darren has been doing some, Ruth did one. We need volunteers to do one. You can take a year to do it, but we want to have a pile of talks so that Michael Langton has options in terms of choosing what's appropriate. And there is downloadable transcription software. It's free. It's all keystrokes. You don't need a pedal. It goes very quickly. You just download the talk and pull it into the software, and you could take months doing it, and it would be an extraordinary service. This is the main pressing point on Michael, who is very, very busy. And for him to continue as the editor, he needs there not to be last minute, no article, and pressure about deadline. So I would really encourage you to think about this. This could be a low pressure, long-term offering, and you could only have to do it once or maybe twice a decade or something like that. And so let me know if this seems like something you would be interested to do. You could collaborate with Michael in choosing the talk that would interest you to think deeper in. It's really quite illuminating to type out the text. It's a very rich education. But this is a breaking point for Michael's continuation as editor. So we need...
How long does it take to do one?
It depends on how fast Robina is 7 hours. Maybe a little repetitive strain entry. But other people speak at a much more leisurely pace. So, 45 hours. But if you spread that out, just something that you did 10 minutes, a day for a month, it would be very non-onerous and of enormous service. So I encourage you to check it out with your hands, whether or not this is something you might have to do. Thank you.
Any other announcements? I just want to make the reminder that, there's a group coming in here to use the facility at 1 o'clock, so we should be out of here by about 4 p.m. today. So let's join By the power and truth of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all be free from sorrow and the causes of sorrow. May all never be separated from the sacred happiness which is without sorrow. And may all live in equanimity, without too much attachment or too much aversion, and live believing in the equality of all that lives.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.